The modern world of travel has a problem. Overtourism and crowded cities. Too many people packed into one place. But not in Breda, in the Netherlands. A good example of a city off the beaten track, yet loaded with historic attractions. Outdoor restaurants and a large pedestrian zone with an authentic local character. This small Dutch city is friendly and peaceful with lots of things to see. Breda has something for everyone, whether you're interested in history, Dutch canals, medieval architecture, shopping, pedestrian lanes, fine dining, casual eating, people watching while savoring some wine or local beer, or simply enjoying the pleasant ambiance. While tourists do come here, it does not get overrun, so it retains an authentic character.
Breda is a beautiful town in the southwestern part of the Netherlands. Like many cities around the area, it's a relatively small place with a great history. Pubs everywhere. There's sidewalk restaurants galore. The Grote Markt is the main square, and throughout the day and into the evening, you'll see it's filled with people. They're crazy about their sidewalk tables here. Restaurants, or just sit down and have a beer, have a soft drink. People love to flock here just for conversation. This is not a very touristic town. There's a lot of things to see, of course. Historic monuments, great old buildings, beautiful architecture, wonderful pedestrian streets, so plenty to keep the visitor busy. And yet, primarily, you see local people walking around and at the restaurants. So that's even better because you know these restaurants are going to offer a good deal, good food at a fair price because they count on repeat customers, not just a one-off tourist place. So this is really quite a special city. You might not have even heard of Breda. It's not too far from Rotterdam. You can get here in about 30 minutes by train. You could get to Amsterdam, or they have direct connections by train to Brussels as well too.
Along with Breda, the Netherlands has many beautiful cities that we have covered in other videos. Now you'll find out why Breda ranks right up there with those other Dutch places.
Breda also has a modern side to it. There's a small shopping mall, takes up a block. There's a number of beautiful hotels, up to 100 rooms in size. And there are these grand pedestrian streets for shopping. You're going to find that the people of Breda and in Netherlands in general are friendly and they speak English. So it's very easy to strike up a conversation. You can ask somebody where's a good place to eat or have a beer, ask for directions, or just say hello. Hello.
We'll see some of the sights with our local guide Jacques on a walking tour.
It's a wonderful, cozy city, lots of pubs and a nice place to come.
In the program, we're taking you to the main square and pedestrian streets, to the big park, the local shopping area, and the cathedral. Begin your visit at the Grote Markt, Breda's central square, lined with attractive places to eat and drink.
Sitting in the Grote Markt restaurants in the morning at about 10:30 is a quiet experience. Some of the restaurants are open, but not very many customers arrive at this hour. They'll come in for lunch and they'll stay for the afternoon and right on into the evening until after dark. This place is going to be very busy.
No matter what time of day or night, this is always a fascinating place. It's the best location in town to find a wide variety of high-quality restaurants, such as Mr. Moo's, where I had a delightful dinner. Salmon and red wine at a ringside table for people watching, then a very large cheese platter. Or have a couple of sandwiches with pasta salad for lunch at the Casual Colony restaurant. Seating indoors and out, they're open every day from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. Pizza, kebabs, vegan, Mexican, Italian, morning brunch, afternoon tea. You can find practically any taste you desire here at the square. In the evening, the place is even busier as the locals come out to eat, drink, talk, or maybe just take a stroll. One restaurant brews their own beer in the basement.
Butterhall, that's right. That's what it says. When was it built?
1483.
1483, that's old.
Full-service restaurant upstairs, and downstairs the original barrel-vaulted medieval cellar with a brewery inside.
Yeah, that is a building of one of the guilds in Breda, and on top of it you see St. George with the dragon. It's an old building. It used to be a museum also, but now it's a brewery and a pub.
In the warmer months, people love to sit outside, but the Grote Markt is alive throughout the year, including a Christmas market with an ice skating rink. This has always been a marketplace ever since 1321, originally for selling grains primarily. And now once again, every Friday and Tuesday morning, it's a lively outdoor market selling food and clothing and hardware and all kinds of miscellaneous items. There is some tragic history here, but they no longer perform executions. Instead, it's a bustling hub of activity, teeming with life.
In 1419 and 1534 it was burned down, the whole city. And because of 90% of the houses were wooden, and from 1534 there was a rule that only stone houses were allowed to build. So this square is most of it from 1534. This is City Hall, but in the early days there was also a courthouse, as you can see, of Lady Justice.
Its central location makes Grote Markt an ideal starting point for exploring the city. Several major streets lead out from Grote Markt, including this one that just might be the nicest street in town. Let's go take a walk. Have a look at the outdoor cheese market with a big variety and do some people watching.
The name of the street is the Veemarktstraat, and in English that is the Cattle Market Street, because in the early days there were here the cattle market. No cattle anymore, of course, but still a shopping center and also a walking street again.
It is such a classy street that it has its own website with a rather extensive list of all the businesses, including 17 restaurants and cafes, along with 40 stores, including well-known Dilla and Camille with gadgets for home, garden, and kitchen. You'll find outdoor cafe tables, a daily market for fresh produce, and various historic sites, including this grand old mansion.
This is the Bishop's Palace, and it's also a building from the 16th century.
Originally constructed as a courthouse and purchased by the church in 1859. At the end of the street we have a little plaza, and you'll find some side alleys that are quite lovely and have some history to them.
It's called the Vineyard Alley, and people can dine here. Also have a little bit of a history. There was born a very famous guy from Breda, and he was called Dries van Kaak. He fled to America, and later on he started with helping new artists, and he found a big one, and it was Elvis.
2 blocks away you'll find the Stedelijk Museum with an extensive collection of art and objects illustrating the history of Breda and the region. Originally, it was a hospital about 500 years ago, and then it became an old age house for men, as commemorated by 2 large statues above the doorway. The old men's house closed in the 1950s, and the Stedelijk Museum opened in 2017, making it the youngest city museum in the Netherlands, with this modern wing greatly expanding the collection. A famous pub is next door where my guide and I stopped in for a beer.
Welcome to the Beyerd. The Beyerd is a famous beer cafe. We were one of the first in Holland who started importing beer from Belgium. They have about 300 different kind of beers on bottle and 14 on tap.
14 on tap, wow, okay.
original pub was founded in the 16th century. Pub is almost 190 years in the family now. The street is originally just for bicycles, but cars are allowed when they drive very slowly. And cars are allowed, but not gladly.
There are some streets in central Breda for pedestrians only, but most of the central streets allow a mix of cars, bicycles, and pedestrians. And cars must drive slowly with a speed limit of 10 miles per hour, and right-of-way given to pedestrians and bicycles, resulting in a friendly traffic pattern that enables people to walk everywhere. St. Janstraat is a good example of a street for pedestrians and bicycles only, but it was not always that way.
A few years ago that was just an ordinary street, but much more and more there are coming shops. There are terraces here, people dining outside. Lots of new stores are here just for food and drinks. We are trying to keep the traffic out of the city, and lots of tourists are coming, and we are next to the border of Belgium. Lots of Belgian people are coming here.
Along with the many shops and cafes on this street, there's a spectacular church.
St. Anthony is the cathedral of Breda. The church is built in 1837. This is the first cathedral of Breda, and it still is.
Breda has two cathedrals. This one is Catholic, and later we'll bring you into the Protestant cathedral, the Gothic Grote Kerk. This cathedral, St. Anthony's, was built in the early 19th century in a neoclassical style. This building was constructed 500 years ago, serving variously as monastery, embassy, and military warehouse.
Later on it was an artist's school, and now it's a music school. But it also has been in the Middle Ages as an orphanage for Catholic boys.
Sint Annastraat dates back to the 16th century, giving it a lot of character. And yet the shops are very much up to date. There's J'adore, a hip clothing store specializing in vintage. With second-hand clothing, fewer new items need to be manufactured, which reduces the ecological footprint of that industry. There are a few alleys and courtyards. Then Sint Annastraat connects with Catharinastraat, another pedestrian-friendly street that is shared with bicycles and some cars, where people can walk in the street knowing that any cars that might show up will be driving slowly. Here is the Walloon Church, a Protestant place of worship founded in 1590. The Walloon community of Breda still meets here for services held in French. Behind the church, we find an amazingly beautiful garden courtyard with homes around it. This is the Beguinage of Breda. It's a green paradise in the middle of the city. The Beguinage is an old Dutch tradition that provided housing for elderly, single, religious ladies, and continuing today, but not religious and open to all single women.
This is a place for only women. No families, no men.
So single ladies.
Yes.
And you pay rent.
Yes, of course.
This is so beautiful.
It is, yeah.
And everybody has a garden?
No, we have a gardener.
Oh, a gardener does
Yes.
this.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So,
Very nice, very
yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
Flowers and some food.
Yeah, 300 kind of herbs.
Oh,
are in.
I
Yes.
see. And some of the buildings are original, authentic?
Most of all, yes.
Original.
Original,
Wow.
yes.
But do you have to be religious to live here?
No.
No?
No.
But it's such a beautiful spot. And you're right in the center of town.
Yes, of course.
2 blocks away.
Yeah, yeah.
Very convenient location.
It is.
You don't have to drive
No,
or take a bus.
no,
No, just walk.
yeah.
So is it nice and quiet and
Yes.
peaceful?
Most of the time, yes. Today it is nice and quiet, but not always.
Well, thank you very much. This cat was a little cautious with me at first, but then warmed up to the point where it was so enjoyable, I had a hard time getting on my way. She kept wanting some more petting, which I was happy to provide. Then she went home. Across the street, you'll find this green oasis, a charming and serene garden adorned with sculptures, lush greenery, benches for sitting, and surrounded by historic buildings. The garden is named after Willem Merkt, who retired as mayor of Breda after serving from 1967 to 1983. It was his desire to turn the vacant lot behind the courthouse into a beautiful garden. So as a parting gift, the people of Breda offered him this sculpture garden with 12 works of art and a sundial. It's a relatively small but meticulously maintained garden featuring a variety of trees, shrubs, and flowers. The design is simple but elegant with winding paths and cozy seating areas perfect for relaxation. Upon exiting the garden back on Catharinastraat, you can then walk right into the main city park called Stadspark Valkenberg, Breda's largest and most famous park. This was originally a forest, and in the 17th century it was turned into a French-style park with 17 statues in flower beds. Until 1812, the Valkenberg served as private garden to the castle, which is on the edge of the park. In those old days, the garden was only open to the lords of Breda and their guests. This monument commemorates that royal Dutch Nassau family, encircled by coats of arms and statues in relief, supporting a lion on top with a royal crown, sword, and shield, with the miniature castle and heroic figures down below. The River Markt runs alongside with a striped watchtower, which is a public art installation. The park is called Valkenberg because the royals trained their falcons there for hunting back in the old days. The castle is still standing on the west side of the park. Occasional private tours of the grounds are available. However, the castle and surrounding area is a military base for training soldiers. The castle's origin traces back to the 12th century when a fortress stood on this site. Breda itself grew around this stronghold. In the 16th century, the castle was rebuilt into a Renaissance palace. It's still protected by a moat and by the River Markt. On the west side, we see an old wall and 2 towers.
This is the remains of the city walls of Breda. Most of them are torn down in 1860, but this is still there. There are 2 towers. This is the pigeon tower. The left one is the ammunition tower. Nowadays they are not used for that anymore. In the right one is the Protestant chapel, and in the left one is the Catholic chapel. You can see above it, on the top of it, there is a terrace, and you can have a very nice beer there.
The area in front of the wall is a small boat basin in the River Markt, referred to as the Haven. That boat called Spinola had been a floating cafe. Now it's a place for private events. You can rent a small boat to explore the waterways or take an organized public tour on a canal boat. This part of the river had been covered over with concrete for automobile traffic until the year 2007, when major renovations took place, revealing the river once again and creating a waterfront promenade, which has greatly enhanced life in the west side of the city. A block in from the river, you'll find School Street, one of the oldest roads in Breda, filled with historic charm. Along School Street, you'll find the synagogue, built in 1845, but damaged in World War II, then was restored and reconsecrated with services held there regularly. That street leads to Havermarkt plein, which is one of the most popular gathering places in the city, with several bars and restaurants around a large outdoor plaza with lots of dining tables. It's a good place to participate in authentic Dutch life. Right in the very center of town, next to the cathedral, with lovely streets all around it. It's one of the best places in town to take a stroll and explore those little lanes, go grab a bite, do a little shopping, and nearby is one of the most important attractions of the city. It's the Grote Kerk, the cathedral, with its great tower rising high above the city. The 15th century church is the pride of Breda. Originally Catholic, but since 1637, it changed to Protestant during the Reformation, as the church representative explained.
It's built in 1410 as a Catholic church, built by the ancestors of our royal family. And it went over to the Protestants, because our royal family went over too.
So it's in the Gothic style?
Brabant Gothic,
Brabant
I called it, yeah.
Which
but
is-
with a lot of Renaissance.
Right. So it's late Gothic.
Yeah. And the person who gave orders to build the church is Engelbrecht the First.
The church was built by the Nassaus, who were the ancestors of the Dutch royal family. 9 members of the Nassau dynasty were buried in the church, showing the incredible importance of not only the church, but Breda at the time. You'll learn a bit more of that history later as we walk around in the city streets. It's a great setting for the students to learn more about their history. Construction of the church lasted from 1410 all the way up to 1547, and since then they have maintained the beauty of this spectacular place. There are different ways to name the church: short, long, English, Dutch, but mostly it's the Cathedral. Now we're visiting the west side of town, an area with more pedestrian streets and lots of shops for the locals. A good place to get beyond the typical visitor sites and get into the heart of the city. During the day, it's a busy area with lots of people out walking, but if you go there in the morning, perhaps right after your breakfast, you'll find the streets can be pretty empty. It's more interesting in midday, but when you're traveling, you want to see as much as possible, and sometimes that means getting out early in the day.
When you're walking around in the morning, say before 10:30 or 11, it gets a little busy with trucks and deliveries. So just be aware. And shops don't open till 10 or maybe 11 o'clock. So it's a place to relax in the morning at your hotel, have a leisurely breakfast, maybe just take a stroll and see the sights.
No matter what time of day that you are out, you will always find that Breda is a walkable city. It's compact in size, just about 1 kilometer wide, so you can easily see Breda on foot walking around. You don't need to take any public transportation. You don't need a bus. There's no subway. There's no tram. You don't need a taxi or bicycle. Just walk. Here we're briefly crossing over the River Markt to see another very interesting street for strolling, with some typically Dutch rules for the traffic. It's designated a bicycle street. There's wide sidewalks for the pedestrians, who must stay out of the bicycle lane, but automobiles are allowed if they drive very slowly. Of course, there is a variety of types of street, some of them wide for bicycles always, and full automobile access. Crossing Tolbrugstraat back across the river to the main side of town, they're still doing some work along the banks, expanding the river promenade. There is a fascinating hotel here in these old historic brick buildings. The Hotel Nassau, operated by Marriott, 4-star deluxe with 94 rooms, making it one of the largest hotels in town. I did not stay here, but I was curious to have a look inside, see what's going on in this grand structure, and it was quite lovely. It opened in 1849 to house Franciscan nuns, who then constructed a neo-Gothic chapel as part of their complex, which grew to 3 different buildings. The Franciscan sisters departed in 1992, and the complex stood empty until its restoration, then opening in 2016 as this hotel. It's on a beautiful old street with classic Dutch architecture. Then you bump right into the modern world with a very sleek shopping center, which I visited on my morning walk. And while the doors were open, most of the stores were not, except for a coffee shop. Well, for the visitor, shopping malls are not that exciting. It's just another slice of the modern life you can find anywhere in the world. Convenient for locals, but we're much more interested in being out in those streets. And as you've seen, Breda has a lot of them, with more coming up. Water Street is another one of those old historic lanes. Originally it led down towards the river where the old harbor was located. This wide, busy street is a major artery for bus traffic, lined with contemporary buildings. Despite modern appearance, has a long history going back 500 years. Bicycles are always welcome, even in a wide street like this with no dedicated bike lane. As we've seen, many of the streets, such as this one, have a combination of automobiles, pedestrians, bicycles, baby buggies. Everybody's welcome. Pedestrians can walk down the middle of a street and not worry about getting run over because any car that shows up has to drive very slowly. This type of traffic control has been labeled Pedestrian-first, where people always have the right of way over motor vehicles. This prioritizes safety, comfort, and convenience for pedestrians. This is Breda's oldest chapel, constructed around the year 1436. It served various purposes over the years, including as a prison and a stable, and in 1947 was rededicated as a Marian chapel. This street also has a modern shopping arcade, located in the heart of the historic and lively city center on that busy shopping street. Then we wrap up our look at this west side of the city center with a stroll along two more streets that do prohibit automobiles, only for bicycles and pedestrians. But now we're going to the east side of the historic center to a wide modern street with lots of traffic.
That is a very modern street, but in the early days here used to be the city walls.
Breda has made a big effort to encourage creation of giant outdoor murals. They call it the Blind Walls Gallery, such as this painting of Catharina from Alexandria, a patroness of plague victims, and the building next to it was a Protestant orphanage.
The new building is the Chassé Theatre, and is one of the biggest theatres in the Netherlands.
The theater is part of a modern complex with a major casino, one of the biggest in Europe, with the movie theater and restaurant, all in striking modern design. Pedaling bicycles is a typical way for the Dutch army to get around, probably heading back over to Breda Castle where they live. Another modern building, back over in the center of town, is the Public Library, which provides internet access, printing, quiet study rooms, and many books. A community gathering place and center of the arts. They also have educational programs with workshops, courses, and dance classes. Let me show you the hotel I stayed at. It's the Bliss Boutique. Only 9 rooms and located just 1 block from the Cathedral, so it's very central, very comfortable. Some of the rooms have a large outdoor terrace with a view looking up at the Cathedral steeple. Keep in mind that I paid for my room. This is not a commercial, and the same for any restaurant or place that I mention. I just like to share with you what I found attractive. Well, it's time to go. Heading over to the train station. I've been getting around the Netherlands by train. Wonderful service they've got here. And stayed in Breda for 2 nights to get a good look at the city. You could do it as a day trip from Rotterdam. As mentioned earlier, it's about a half an hour away by train. But hopefully you've seen enough in this program to realize that Breda is a wonderful place to spend some time. Getting away from those crowds of over-tourism in so many of the big popular cities of Europe now.
Leaving Breda now and heading to Brussels to complete my 30-day whirlwind wander through Belgium and part of the Netherlands. It's been quite a journey. And here I am riding in first class in the kind of the old-fashioned style. It's a compartment. For part of the train, they have regular seats. Very comfortable first-class seats.
Look for the rest of the videos about this journey in our collection. We frequently upload new movies, so please subscribe to our channel. and click that little alarm bell so you'll be notified. And if you enjoyed the movie, how about a thumbs up? And we always welcome comments down below. Or if you have questions about the destination, make note and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching.